Hello everyone, this is Tim speaking. Can you hear me well? So, this is welcome to my show. So, I'm going to talk about the weather report for today. Sounds exciting, right? It is. Fantastic. So, for Vancouver today, um, right now is 8 p.m. Observed in Vancouver International Airport for the weather radar. Check the weather radar by yourself. It's super exciting to see there's no rain around. There is not a single rain for this week. So for this satellite, it sounds fantastic. But don't don't be worried, don't be excited because there's a big cloud up in Alaska. It's coming down, it's coming down. It will soon arrive here. So I but this week it will be super sunny. It'll be like no cloud up the sky. But I'm not sure for next week. But let's see. That's for next week how it goes. I hope there's no rain, but not too hot. I mean, I like cold weather. Just depends. So let me say is the condition is partly cloudy. Pressure is 102.8 kilopascals. Tendency is rising. Temperature is is 6.8. The tendency, so the temperature is 6.8 degrees. Right now it's 7 degrees average, and then dew point is 3.2 Celsius. And the humidity is 78%, which is still a lot, but you feel much better than 50%, right? And the wind is the west. It's the westerly winds. Wind is the west 21 kilometer per hour. Visibility is 24 kilometers. There's some cloud around the area, but it'll be fine. It will clear soon tomorrow. So tonight is 1 degree, a few clouds. Tomorrow, Tuesday, December 1st, is sunny, 8 degrees, mainly sunny. Nighttime is 0 degrees, a few clouds. And then progressively for Wednesday is 7 degrees, a mix of sun and cloud. Night is cloudy periods. Thursday, December 3rd, is 8 degrees cloudy. For the night time, is 6 degrees cloudy. Friday, December 4th, is 10 degrees, a mix of sun and cloud. Night is 0 degrees, cloudy periods. Saturday, December 5th, 11 Celsius, a mix of sun and cloud. Sunday, December 6th, 10 degrees, which is I like it. I like the weather. Not super cold, not super hot, but there will be sunshine, of course, a mix of sun and cloud. So for the jet stream, let's see for the jet stream. It is a big swirl around Pacific Ocean. There's a high pressure um, hectopascal down south. So there will be a big jet stream over the Atlantic, over the goes up to the Atlantic Ocean, goes down to the Pacific Ocean, and in the middle of the U.S. and and then right now is the low pressure is in Sunbury, which is still in the no, which is still in the east. It's like near Toronto, Ontario area, um, and then the jet stream will push the lows to the north. So the north will be snow, and then the south will somehow be cloudy. I'm not quite sure over there, but I'm sure here. So for the air quality is a low risk. You can go outside. It's better to go outside or inside. It's better to be outside than inside, right? And then for tonight is a few clouds, fog patches developing overnight, windy early this evening, low +1, and a mix of sun and cloud becoming sunny near noon. Fog patches dissipating in the morning, high 8, UV index 1 or low. The night is clear, becoming partly cloudy near midnight, low 0. For Wednesday, the weather report will be sunny, high 7, which is the weather forecast, not report. And then for the night on Wednesday, it's cloudy periods, low +1. For Thursday, December 3rd, which is cloudy, high, and the night is cloudy, low 6. So for the Friday, December 4th, it's a mix of sun and cloud, high 10. And for the night, it's cloudy periods, low 10, low 0. It won't be 10 anymore, it will be low 0 because of the cloud is open up at night because there's no cloud covering the sky. It will be quite cold at night. So for the Saturday, December 5th, it will be morning. It will be mix of sun and cloud, high 11. For the night time, it will be cloudy periods, low +1. For the Sunday, December 6th, a mix of sun and cloud, high 10. Can you hear me? Okay, follow on, carry forward. So yesterday, the maximum degree is 7.8, which is fine. For the minimum, it goes below to 0, it's negative 0.5. Well, it's hard to believe that we're in the winter, right? And our total participation and our total precipitation is 0.2 millimeters. Check out the weather for today. It will be Victoria 7, Vancouver 7 degrees, Prince George -1, Whitehorse -4 degrees, Yellowknife -7, Aquawick -25, and then for Calgary it's 4 degrees, Edmonton 5 degrees, Saskatoon -5 degrees, Regina -4 degrees, Winnipeg -3. Around the west coast, it will be all sunny. It will be all beautiful sky for you to view the moon, right? For the Thunder Bay is -13 degrees for Toronto. It's 1 and they're snowing. Average for the Ottawa is 4 degrees, raining. Montreal, Quebec, Fredericton, Halifax, Charlottetown, and Saint John. So Saint John will be -2 degrees, Charlottetown 7, Halifax 9, Fredericton 10, Quebec 7, Montreal 6. And let's check out the weather radar. So the weather radar it will be huge. It will be huge rain over the Halifax area, over the Atlantic area. It will be huge rain, like heavy as hell. Probably there will be snow. I'm pretty sure. I think so. I can't say. I can't say. But on the graph, it shows uh, from Ottawa, from northern Thunder Bay to Toronto will be rain, and then over Quebec, over Montreal will be rain as well. Heavy rain there. That's all the weather for today. Um, and I want to say about for today in British Columbia is quite sad for today. President did 48, 46 unprecedented, unprecedented 46 people died of COVID-19 in BC over the weekend, health officials announced. Tim has the story. It's quite sad to hear about the news today, and then I have my condolences to all of the 46 um, their um, their families. So another 232,000, another 2,354 cases confirmed in last 3 days, including 277 historical cases missed because of data error. For the press conference, it says BC has marked another grim weekend in the COVID-19 pandemic with a record number of deaths, according to CBC News Vancouver. The last 3 days have seen 46 people die of COVID-19 in BC as more than 2,000 new cases of the disease were confirmed. Provincial Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry announced on Monday, which is today. Sad news, but don't be. I mean, but just like keep safe in your bubble, and then please don't go out. Please just stay here, stay in the bubble, and then do what you can to slow the spread, please. A total of 2,354 cases from over the weekend were added to the province's total to date, which includes 277 historical cases that were previously missed because of the data recording error in the Fraser Health region. There are now a record number of 316 patients in hospital with the disease caused by the novel coronavirus, including 75 in critical care. Out of 8,855 active cases, also the highest total of the day. What worries me is the 75 patients in critical care. That is the most dangerous to me, the number. Why? Because it is too much. It is too much in the in the um in the hospital area, in the hospital beds. It they need a lot of people has needs to do surgery as well. You can't take too much beds out of like to the critical care because there's so many. There will be lots of frontline workers, frontline nurses working around the clock, around the ICU beds. So what I believe, what I'm thinking is a lot. It is too much. Henry noted that this weekend's death toll is the highest number we have ever had, as she paid an emotional tribute to those who have been lost and family and friends they've left behind. So I did a calculation from the 3 days total cases today, total cases that was reported today. So what I calculated was 788 people, 788 people per day. That is a lot. So last Friday we had 900 and over 900 cases. So I don't know what else to say, but I know the case will be rising, but just like keep your faith, um and then read more newspapers about this virus. We haven't known, like we are still learning. We're still learning. It'll be a long way to through the winter. I what I experience is like cold weather um makes you don't want to wear a mask. What I experienced is I went out and then shopping, and I found out that it's just too uncomfortable wear a mask. Right. Maybe I don't know what to call as the language, but it will be. I know for sure for people it will be hard to wear mask for a long time. But it's like, but just do your part, right? Do your part of yourself. Wear mask outside, shopping, and then just like keep your facial like keep keep a mask above your face. Also, including the nose and in the mouth. We all feel your loss, and we mourn you, said Dr. Bonnie Henry. So COVID-19 cases in BC, but the numbers it goes up It goes on super rapidly. I'm worried. I think you're worried too. Total for deaths and hospitalizations on 2-day periods between Saturdays and Mondays from March to May and 3-day periods between Friday and Mondays from June onward are averaged out by Justin McElroy, sources is CCTC. You can check it out on the website. Doctor Bonnie Henry said the majority of those who died, about 80%, were long-term care residents. The oldest was 103 years old. Can't believe it. It's just, I'm sure it'll be a long. It's quite. I mean, I'm impressed, but to be honest, I I felt a loss about the long-term care residents. I know we need to pay lots of attention, and then for the long-term care to the grandpa, to the grandmas, to the lovely grandpa, grandmas, we um, just to say for the young teenagers, for the young people, we have to do our part. We have to be ourselves, and then to do what we can, right? Do what we can. To date, 441 people have died of the virus. These people have faces, have names, have stories. This tragedy is all of our tragedy. Henry said, if you are thinking it may be okay to bend the rules, please remember this virus takes lives. It is the lives closest to us that are most at risk when we take risks. So the current hospitalizations due to COVID-19 in BC goes up in the April and goes down. The lowest is July, August, and then since September it goes up, as goes up, and goes. It hasn't. I mean, it's 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 a lot. It's not a process. I'm sure of that. But just think about it. There have been 33,238 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in BC. There are now 10,139 people across the province in self-isolation because of contact with known cases of the virus. Monday's update includes 5 new outbreaks in the healthcare system. Currently, there are 57 active outbreaks in long-term care and assisted living and 5 in hospitals. Faith is not a building. Henry spoke about the responsibility of all British Columbians to follow public health orders that currently prohibit all social gatherings of any size and all community and public events. Those orders cover faith-based gatherings, including services in churches, uh, synagogues, uh, God, Gawandas, mosques, Gawandas, Godwaras, mosques, or temples, God waters, mosques, or temples. And Harry said the vast majority of faith leaders have done their part. Henry says health officials are trying to balance minimizing the impact on people's lives with the need to contain the virus. BC provincial health officer reflects on a balanced act between protecting people from coronavirus and limiting their freedom. It's a balance, I'm sure of that. It's people have their freedom, of course. Um, no one can take the freedom away, but just to say is do your part safely, stay safe, 2 meters apart, stand far away from, not like just keep yourself in a safe place. But this weekend, a church in Langley was fined 2,300 for defying Henry's orders and holding in-person services. Faith is not a building, Henry said Monday. Henry said Monday. It is not about Sunday mornings. It's about every day. It's not about rights. It's about community. It's about responsibility to our fellow citizens. 7-day average of new COVID-19 cases in BC. The average number of new confirmed cases over the previous 7 days in the province steadily dropped, with one exception in April and May, and stayed relatively flat for 2 months before rising again in mid-July. Despite making yet another weekend setting grim records for this pandemic, Henry noted that there is light on the horizon with the promise of an effective vaccine in sight. Until that happens, everyone needs to do their part to protect the most vulnerable people in their lives and communities, she said. We are facing a significant storm surge. We need to come together again, Henry said. If you are in doubt, remember you are not alone in your sacrifice. Most people are wearing masks. Most people are sticking to their households. So right now, um, the Fraser Health total number is 20,793. The most recent 3-day number is 1,365. Vancouver Coastal Health is 8,853 total number. Most recent 3-day number is 371. Interior Interior Health is the total number is 1,750. Most recent 3-day numbers is 212. Northern Health is the total numbers is 845. Most recent 3-day numbers is 73. Vancouver Island Health is 629 in total numbers, and the most recent 3-day numbers is 58. BC residents living outside Canada as the total number is 94. Most recent 3-day numbers is 1. So for today's news in politics is Ottawa signs plans to create Canada-wide childcare system, collect digital sales taxes. So the federal government to tax all digital products and services, including Netflix and Airbnb. Minister of Finance Chrystia Freeland gets a first bump from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau after delivering the 2020 fiscal update in the House of Commons on Parliament Hill in Ottawa on Monday, November 30th, 2020. Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland today announced the first steps in a multi-year plan to build a Canada-wide childcare system to reduce costs for families and encourage more women with kids to join the workforce. To pay for this proposed program and to collect more revenue to cover a ballooning budget deficit, Freeland also unveiled the government's plan to levy sales tax on digital companies. Freeland said the government will create a new federal secretariat on early learning and child care that will work with the provinces and territories to design a new national system modeled on the one already in place in Quebec, where parents have access to child care services for less than $10 a day, just as Saskatchewan once showed Canada the way on healthcare, and British Columbia showed Canada the way on rising pollution, Quebec can show us the way on childcare. The full economic statement reads: the finance minister said the next federal budget, expected sometime in spring 2021, will present a more concrete plan on how Ottawa will provide affordable, accessible, inclusive, and high-quality childcare from coast to coast to coast. The federal government is committed 20 million now to begin the work of crafting its new childcare vision. The government says the need for such a national system is obvious now, given how the COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated the precariousness of work for many women. Liberals to spend 100 billion to jolt post-pandemic economy after posting record 381 billion deficit. Government data show that more women than men have been forced to stay home for their jobs to care for their kids during this pandemic-induced recession because of mounting child care costs and the lack of available spaces. COVID-19 has caused a she-session, rolling back many of the hard-won gains women have worked for over past decades. The economic statement reads, using a term coined to describe the dramatic decline in the number of working women this year. Canada cannot be competitive until all Canadian women have access to affordable childcare. So the projected budgetary deficit, it will be this year negative 39.4 billion. Next year, it will be last year negative 39.4 billion. This year will be negative 381.6 billion. Next year, negative 121.2 billion. 2022-2023, negative 50.7 billion. 2023 to 2024, negative 43.3 billion. 2024 to 2025, next negative 30.9 billion. And then 5 to 6 years later, 2025 to 26, it will be negative 24.9 billion. According to Government Full Economic Statement. The full economic statement tabled by Freeland includes 70 to 100 billion in unspecified, unspecified physical stimulus spending over the next 3 years, earmarked for jump-starting an economy hammered by lockdowns. The money to pay for the National Child Care Plan could be drawn from those funds. While the details have yet to be worked out, the federal government will send more than 400 million to the province and territories starting in the next fiscal year to begin recruiting more early child care educators ahead of a possible surge in new spaces. NDP leader Jackson thinks that the Liberal plan to launch a separatist pushes a national child care plan further down the line when support is needed now to help care providers struggling with staff shortages and spiking COVID-19 related costs. The Liberal government is nowhere near what is required to not only keep the existing spaces, they are nowhere near even expanding to get to universal childcare. This is where we are at right now, since that. What that means is families are making the impossible choice, saying, we can't find a we can't find a place for our kids to go. I don't know if I can go back to work. And that's a shame, Singh said. Speaking on CBC's Power and Politics, Freeland said she can't just wave some sort of a magic wand and create a national child care program overnight, especially when there are federal and provincial jurisdictional responsibilities to consider. I can tell you, I am really ready to put my shoulder to the wheel on this one, she said. I personally believe so strongly and so passionately that the time has come fast to levy sales tax on all digital products services. Freeland also announced a plan to start levying digital sales taxes on consumers nationwide for the 41st time, a new system that could raise as much as $1 billion over the next 5 years. Under the current rules, foreign-based digital businesses without a physical presence in Canada can sell goods and services without charging the GST or HST. US-based Netflix, for example, doesn't levy GST or HST on its digital streaming services nationwide, but Apple, which does have Canadian operations, charges all its iTunes customers the relevant taxes. Quebec and Saskatchewan, Quebec and Saskatchewan already require Canadian and foreign digital service suppliers to register for and collect provincial sales tax on services like Netflix and Spotify. The government says the current regime is unfair to Canadian companies and deprives the government of tax revenues that could be used to better the lives of everyone. Freeland said uh, sales taxes will apply to all goods and services consumed in Canada, regardless of how they are supplied. It is consumers who will pay the tax, not the companies themselves. While the federal government has long said it will coordinate any new regime with other Western nations, France and Canada is now prepared to go its long on tax digital companies. Highlights of the Trudeau government's 2024 economic update. Former Financial Minister Bill Monroe had said the government would pursue digital sales taxes only once other G20 nations and Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development (OECD) crafted standards that could be applied in all jurisdictions. That international work is still ongoing. Some observers, including Michael Gist, an internet law professor at the University of Ottawa, have warned it will be difficult to create this new tax as there will be significant administrative and enforcement challenges. US-based Netflix doesn't currently levy the GST or HST on its digital streaming services nationwide. The government will consult with digital companies on how best structure this new tax. Ottawa plans to start collecting this fund in July 2021, which is next year, July, and uh, and it expects to fetch 1.2 billion more in revenue over the next 5 years from the measure. The decision to tax services offered by companies like Netflix is an about-face for this Liberal government. In the 2015 federal election campaign, the constant conservative leader Stephen Harper promised government led by him would never tax Netflix, and the Liberals responded with a no Netflix tax promise of their own. However, in 2019 campaign, the Liberals, the NDP, and the Greens all presented proposals in their platforms to tax multinational corporations that conduct their business online. Seems that his party isn't satisfied with the plan to simply apply the GST to online business. He said he wants Canada to go much further and start taxing the revenue of large digital giants that do business in Canada as a concrete measure to actually make them pay. He said applying a GST is really meaningless. NDP leaders seems that full economic statement shows future constitutes the help that people need. Reacting to the full economic statement, the NDP leadership seems that the government should be more focused on generating revenue from wealthy individuals and corporations so that it can continue to invest in helping people in a sustained way. Since that companies like Amazon and others he described it as pandemic profiteers, a business that has been sales soared during the health crisis. Don't sh- don't shoulder enough of the tax burden. The leaders said Canada should look to replicate France's plan to apply a 3% tax on large tech companies' local revenues, a revenue tool that was postponed in January in the face of U.S. threats on retaliatory tariffs. New tax on short-term rental accommodations. Another new tax will be applied to short-term rental accommodations booked in Canada on sites like Airbnb and VRBO. Airbnb does not collect sales taxes from its customers. It's up to individual hosts to have GST or HST to rate they charge for space. But the tax is applied unevenly and is not required for hosts who make less than 30,000 a year in rental income. With Freeland's new proposal, the GST and the HST will be collected on all stays and remitted by either the property owner or the companies that coordinate with digital bookings. It is estimated that this tax will increase federal revenues by 360 million over the next 5 years. Under current federal tax policies, Airbnb does not collect sales taxes from their customers, and it's up to individual hosts to add a GST or HST to whatever rate they charge for space. The government is also proposing millions more dollars in funding for the Canada Revenue Agency (CRA) to continue its crackdown on tax avoidance. The tax collector will receive 606 million over the next 5 years to fund more initiatives targeting international tax evasion and aggressive tax avoidance. The money will be used to hire offshore-focused auditors to target the Canadians who hide income and other assets overseas. The money also will give the agency more capacity to audit higher-risk tax filings by high net worth people, said says the economic statement. The government estimates that these measures will recover 1.4 billion in revenues over 5 years. The cash injection follows a similar investment in 2016 that the government said it's showing is showing some positive early results. An estimated 3 billion in additional federal tax revenues have been assessed since the government started sending the CRA some 350 million more a year in funding. It is not yet known how much of that money owned. Hey guys, welcome back to Open Language. This is John and this is Connor. Now I have a question for all of our users. Are you a university student or when you were Did you have a job at the same time? Right, that's a great question. Because college and university is expensive, so a lot of students need help. Exactly. And a lot of students are very busy studying and they can't work all the time, so they need to find a part-time job. That's right, a part-time job. And that is the title of our lesson, part-time job for university students. Okay, well, in our dialogue today, Adam is looking for a part-time job and his friend Tom is helping him. So let's go ahead and listen in. Alright. Hey Tom, I need to find a part-time job this semester. You could be waiter or work in a coffee shop. That's not bad. But I'm looking for a job related to my major. Oh well, my friend needs a science tutor. When are you available? I'm free after 3 o'clock. But I'd like a job that is on campus. Then you could be a lab assistant or a TA. They pay the pay is $20 per hour an hour. That's actually a great idea. Where can I apply for those jobs? Check on the university website. They post a ton of jobs there for students. I'll have a look. Thanks. I thought about doing some volunteering too. Yeah, I did some last semester. It looks great on your resume. Okay, we just heard Adam and Tom talking about part-time jobs. Adam needs to find a part-time job this semester. That's right. So, when we talk about jobs, we talk about part-time jobs and full-time jobs. A full-time job is a job that we do all the time. It's our main job. That's right. But part-time jobs, those are jobs we do sometimes, not every day, not all day. Exactly. Or you can be a part-time student. So that means you study sometimes, but then you do some other stuff too. That's true. Now he says he needs to find a part-time job this semester. Yeah, so you might know this as a term, but a semester is just a half of a school year. So it's usually 3 or 4 months of studying full time. Right. So Adam is looking for a part-time job this semester, and Tom says you could be a waiter or work in a coffee shop. Right. And that's a great part-time job, being a server, or working as a barista. But there's a problem here. Adam is looking for a job related to his major. Okay, so if we are looking for something, we are trying to find it. And like Connor said, Adam is looking for a job related to his major. Let's talk about this word major first. Okay, so when you go to university, you study a subject or topic that is called a major. It could be science or math or history or business or so many things. And that is called your major. Right. And usually when we finish university, we find a job related to our major. But you can also find a job related to your major when you are in university. Right. So let's look at this word related in this sentence. Related means similar or about. Yeah. So let's say your major is science. Then if you find a job related to your major, you will probably be a scientist. Right. So, or if you study computer science, a job related to that might be a programmer, might be programmer. Right. It sounds like Adam studies science because Tom suggests a job related to his major. He says, well, my friend needs a science tutor. That's right. Now you guys know tutor, and that's a one-on-one teacher. If you are studying English and you are the only student, that means your teacher is called a tutor. Right. So tutors just help us learn stuff outside of the classroom so we can be smarter when we are in a classroom and do better on our exams. And when we are looking for a job, an important thing to know is when are you available? That's right. When are you available means when do you have time or when are you not busy? Right. So we can be available at a time. We can also be available to do something. Like if Connor asked me to help this weekend, I can say, yeah, sure, I'm available to help you. Yeah, exactly. So available is a great word we can use when getting a tutor or getting a tutor or finding a job. Sounds like Adam is free after 3 o'clock. But there's another problem. It's like a job that is on campus. Okay, so the campus, that's where the university is on the campus. You have the library, the canteen, the, the canteen, or all the university classrooms. Canteen, all the university classrooms. They are all on campus. That's right, and that's where your classes are too. Now, a really important thing here. We don't say on a campus or on a campus. We say on campus. You can study on campus. You can work on campus. You can have classes on campus. Right. And there's a lot of different jobs for students and do on campus, and that's what Tom talks about next. He says, and then you could be a lab assistant or a TA. Alright, let's look at this phrase lab assistant. First of all, assistant means person who helps at a lab. So it could be an office assistant or a boss's assistant or a sales assistant. Right. To assist really just means to help. So you're like a helper at an office or some place where there's a job. Okay, today we are talking about a lab assistant. So a lab is a place on the campus, where scientists do different science experiments. Yeah, it's a scientist's office. That's what a lab is. Now, this is a short form. The long form is a laboratory, but it's also important, but it's so long that we almost never say it. We can just say lab. Okay, so a lab assistant will help a scientist in a job. That's one great part-time for students. Another one is to be a TA. That's right. A TA is a teaching assistant. But this is another kind of system. A TA helps the teachers and helps the professors at a university who are giving the classes. Yes, so sometimes if the professor can't come, maybe the TA comes. Can't come, maybe the TA comes. Or if the professor has too much work, like Martin, like Martin's papers, maybe they'll give some of the work to the TA. That's right, and those are good jobs on campus. Adam likes the idea, so he says, where can I apply for those jobs? Okay, so to apply for a job is like to ask for a job, but we have to do more than just ask, right? Exactly. When you want a job, you have to apply for the job. So we have to write our information on a piece of paper. We can also say apply to. We apply to a place for a job. Yeah, so a lot of people use this when they talk about wanting to go to university. They might say, I applied to Beijing University and they accept me. Exactly. Alright, so Tom says to check on the university website because people post a ton, because people post post tons of jobs they are there for students. Okay, so to post something on the website just means to put it on the website and then everyone can see it. Exactly. Every time we put a picture on social media, we are posting it. Yeah, if we are looking for job, two websites that a lot of people use Useful jobs in North America are LinkedIn and another one called Indeed. And every day there's a ton of jobs posted on these websites. Exactly. Now we are talking about jobs here, but Adam has something else he's also thinking about, and this is called volunteering. Yeah, so a lot of students do volunteering, and that's when we work, but we don't make money. So usually people that do volunteering are nice people, and they want to help other people. Right. So common examples are helping poor people or building houses in a poor country. A lot of people travel to Africa to do volunteering because it feels good when you help somebody for free. And the students love to volunteer. And Tom says he did some last semester as well. The reason is it looks great on your resume. Okay, so this word some. That's our grammar point for today. So let's take a look at that. We can use some to replace a noun when we already know what noun they are talking about. That's right, it's a pronoun. So, for example, I could ask, did you buy any bananas? Yes, I bought some. So I can use some in that sentence because I don't need to say bananas again. Connor knows I'm talking about bananas. Exactly. And there are so many ways we can use this. For example, if you need some money, I give you some. Oh, thanks, Connor. So in this sentence, Tom means I did some volunteering last semester, but it doesn't need to say volunteering. It just says I did some last semester. Alright, so we have some more examples of using some as a pronoun in a sentence in our grammar section. To make sure to check that out. Now back to our dialogue here. The last thing Tom says here is, it looks great on your resume. Right. That's why students do volunteering. Now, resume is when you apply for a job. You have to send your resume. Now, it's spelled resume and we pronounce it. Yeah, it's a French word, so the pronunciation is a little bit different. Now, when we write our resume, we usually include things like what school we went to, what did we study, what type of work have we done in the past, and our phone number or email address, right? And what really looks good on your resume is volunteering. Exactly. Okay. Well, that's the end of our dialogue. I hope Adam finds the part-time job that he's looking for. Why don't we go ahead and listen to their conversation one more time? All right. Hey Tom, I need to find a part-time job this semester. You could be a waiter or work in a coffee shop. That's not bad. But I'm looking for a job related to my major. Well, my friend is a science tutor. When are you available? I'm free after 3 o'clock, but I'd like a job that's on campus. Then you could be a lab assistant or TA. The pay is $20 an hour. That's actually a great idea. Where can I apply for those jobs? Check on the university website. They post a ton of jobs there for students. I'll have a look. Thanks. I thought about doing some volunteering too. Yeah, I did some last semester. It looks great on your resume. Alright, we're back. Alright, we are back. We just heard Adam and Tom talk about part-time jobs. John, when you went to university, did you have part-time job? Yeah, I did. I worked as a server, so I had to make some extra money because schools are really expensive. And often here, there's another kind of job for university students. They are called summer jobs. So during the summer months, when we are not studying, when we are taking a break, we work full time for a few months. For a few months. Yeah, well, people can be an intern, and that's like when you work, you don't make a lot of money. Okay, guys, what about you? What type of part-time job did you have in university? Did it help you pay those bills? Yeah, let us know. Ask question. And until next time, we'll talk to you later. Thanks for listening. Bye. So I'm going to talk about I'm going to talk about sports. I'm going to talk about sports for Olympics. So ice dancer. mm, So for the Olympics, Beijing 2022 and Tokyo 2020, ice dance star Tessa Virtue expanding her mind in Queen's executive MBA program. Five-time Olympic medalists happily out of comfort zone pursuing new goals. The Canadian press. Olympic ice dance champion Tessa Virtue left is back, living in Toronto with boyfriend Morgan Riley, has a new dog, and is swamped with schoolwork as part of Queen's University Executive MBA program. Tessa Virtue doesn't feel the same sense of exhilaration or rush of adrenaline as she did standing at center ice after gold medal performance. At least not, at least not on that scale or of that magnitude, and that's okay. There are so many things that are making me really content and joyful that were just impossible to experience as an athlete in training, Virtue said. Virtue, Virtue said. So there's sort of something offsetting that to where I might not be getting that adrenaline rush. There's so much that I feel passionate about and new goals that I'm striving for, which is both scary and exhilarating. Virtue and Scott Moore were among the 114 athletes, artists, scholars, and community leaders named to the Order of Canada on Friday. They are the most decorated ice dancers in history, capturing 5 Olympic medals, including a pair of ice dance gold in 2010 and the 2018. A look back on the final Olympic Games for Canadian figure skating legends Tessa Virtue and Scott Moore. Scott Moyer. Virtue is swamped with schoolwork these days as part of Queen's University of Executive MBA program, one of the new pursuits pushing her out of her comfort zone. She's typed out frantic text messages to retired paramedic swimmer Ben Ben Hewitt, who graduated from the same program, saying, "Have I made a mistake? What am I doing?" She laughed. Hewitt has been so wonderfully supportive, but I'm so happy I did it. It's an extraordinary cohort. Everyone is so impressive and has accomplished such wonderful things and in such diverse spheres, and so the conversations are so exhilarating. And especially right now, I am so grateful to have the chance to sort of expand my mind. Virtue spent the first few months of the pandemic living in North Vancouver, BC, with boyfriend and Toronto Maple Leafs defenseman Morgan Riley. The power couple joined Arkin's frontman on an Instagram livestream back in March. They appeared virtually on a Great Kitchen Party home edition a month later. The couple is back living in Toronto now and recently purchased a puppy they named Zoe. Virtue and Moyer's cap- captivating free dance to music from Malane Road, from Moulin Road from Moulin Rouge in Pyongyang will endure as one of the greatest Olympic figure skating performances ever. Just one of the numerous YouTube streams has over 1.3 million views. Virtue and Scott Miller's effort nearly 3 years ago in Pyongyang, South Korea will be remembered as one of the greatest Olympic figure skating performances ever. But Virtue has barely watched it. I've seen parts of it and here and there, and I love the feeling that it invoked in me. She said, I'm still so proud of that moment, of course, but I can't decide if it feels like it was yesterday or honestly if I feel just a few lifetimes away from it. So it's like that disconnect, right? Where I kind of hold on to the feeling that we had when the program ended. Ice dancers Virgil Moyer among 114 Order of Canada inductees. And when we reflect together, so much of our sporting life just seems so fresh that I am sure there hasn't been enough time for perspective, right? Go beyond the scenes as Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer developed the 2018 Olympic gold medal winning free dance, set to the music of Air Tango de Roxanne, El Tango de Roxanne, from the film mm, Moulin Rouge. Virtue and Moyer from Alderton, Ontario, competed for 2 decades, earning Order of Canada honors. She said, was so honored that had her reflecting on their early days. This is not something we would have ever known to even dream for. We were 7 and 9 years old, cruising around the ice together, talking about this. It seemed it seems unfathomable, fathomable, she said, and yet we watched so many of our friends and peers along the way receive this incredible honor. I just feel humbled and just so humbled. Virtue talked by telephone Sunday before appearing virtually on Hayley Wickenhardt's Wigfest female hockey festival, calling a few minutes early to ensure she wouldn't have to duck out too soon. Olympic athletes, both active and retired, have been front and center in a battle against the global pandemic. Weekend Hansen, of course, teamed up with actor Ryan Reynolds and others for Conquer COVID-19, an initiative that delivered much-needed personal protective equipment to hospitals. Numerous other athletes have hosted virtual practices, information sessions, etc. for Canadian kids. It can be underestimated, I guess, what that kind of mentorship or connection with an athlete does, Virtue said. I think about those kids watch the next Olympics and how invested they'll be, and it's pretty neat to share that. Virtue and Moyer moved on after 22 years of ice dancing. BBC sports figure skating analyst P.J. Kwon discussed the legacy Olympic champions Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer leave behind. The international figure skating schedule has been a bust since last March, when COVID-19 forced cancellation of the World Championships in Montreal. Keegan Massin is the only Canadian to have competed so far this season. Skate America, Skate Canada International was scrapped, and if Stockholm, Sweden, does manage to host the World Championships in March, organizers want to host it in a bubble. but there's no guarantee Canada or Canada will even go because of a lack of preparation, quarantine restrictions, etc. I think there's a caveat. I think there's a caveat to everything in that it offers great perspective. You realize just how simply insignificant ice dance can be, or skating, which is that. But at the same time, in their relative spheres, and as far as their goals and pursuits go, it's huge to miss out on one competition, let alone a season. I think just changing that benchmark of knowing when to prepare for something, how to pick, how to maximize your time, the unknown, the uncertainty, like so many people are facing, must be really challenging, and my heart goes out to the skaters. Messi salutes late idol Diego Maradona in iconic celebration after scoring. Soccer. Argentine star reveals New Wales Old Boys number 10 shirt soccer legend. Lionel Messi celebrates after scoring Barcelona's fourth goal while wearing a New Wales Old Boys shirt with the number 10 on the back in memory of soccer icon Diego Maradona, who died this week. Lionel Messi paid tribute to Diego Maradona by stripping off his Barcelona top to reveal a shirt for the fallen Argentine great after he scored the final goal in a 4-0 rout of Osasuna on Sunday. Messi celebrated his powerful strike from outside the box by taking off Barcelona's blue and the burgundy burgundy, blue and burgundy to reveal the red and black of Maradona's shirt from his stint at Newell's Old Boys. Messi then blew a kiss with both hands to the sky as he looked upward. After the game, Messi posted a photo of his tribute alongside an older image of Maradona in the same shirt, adding the message "Farewell Diego" in Spanish. It was a great moment, said Barcelona manager Ronald Koeman, first for the goal that Leo scored and then for the gesture he had for the death of Diego Maradona. He had surely been thinking of what he would do. For me, it was a great moment in every way. Legendary soccer player Diego Maradona has died at the age of 60. John Molinaro joined CBC News to discuss his legacy on and off the field. Messi played for Newell's before he joined Barcelona at age 13. Maradona played 5 matches for Newell's in 1994, near the end of his glorious playing career that made him a legend in his home country. Messi had kept his head bowed during the minute of silence before kick-off in the Spanish league game at the empty Camp Nou for Maradona, who died of a heart attack on Wednesday at age 60. Maradona played for Barcelona from 1982 to 84. We have lost Diego, a world idol, Barcelona's Brazil forward Philippine Coutinho said. Everyone admired him, and we'll all miss him. Messi's tribute was beautiful. All Blacks rugby squad pays tribute to soccer icon, world legend Maradona. Tearful thousands bid farewell to Maradona in Argentina. Coutinho also scored for Barcelona. Coutinho also scored for Barcelona, along with Martin Braithwaite and Antoine Griezmann, All Blacks. A special gesture from the All Blacks to Argentina before tonight's haka. The win was only Barcelona's second in seven league matches. It left the team in eighth place with two games in hand. Leader Real Leo, Leader Real Sociedad hosted third place Villarreal later. Villarreal later. Second place Atletico Atletico Madrid is 9 points ahead of Barcelona, also with two games in hand. In Mexico City, during the quarterfinal match against England, Argentine striker Diego Maradona scored the goal. The victory for Coleman's side may have come at the price of losing yet another defender. Clement Lenglet hurt his lower right leg when it was unintentionally knocked by an Osasuna player in the second half. He had to be held off by two team doctors. Barcelona was already without three other central defenders due to injury and a right back, Sergi Roberto. Supreme dribbling skills. Barcelona finished the match with midfielder Frankie de Jong in the center of its defense alongside reserve team player Oscar Menguza in his second game for the second squad. Coleman said it appears the injury to Lenglet is not serious, but that he would undergo a medical exam on Monday. Sergio Busquets Sergio Busquets returned from Barcelona from a knee injury that had sidelined him for two games. Considered by many as the best player in his generation and one of the greatest ever, Messi has been judged, especially back home, by how his career compared to that of Maradona. After scoring the Hand of God goal in 1986, Diego Maradona scores again a spectacular effort against England. Messi shares the lower center of gravity, the sprint, dribbling skills and ability to score eye-popping goals as Argentina's other great number 10. But while his life focused on football and family has kept him well clear of addictions that ruined Maradona's health, Messi has never been able to reproduce the 1986 World Cup trophy Maradona led his country to, coming closest in 2014 when the Messi-led Argentina lost in the final to Germany. Messi's tribute to Maradona overshadowed a fine performance by Griezmann, the France forward who has been criticized for not reaching his potential at Barcelona. Braithwaite scrambled in the rebound after court after Courtho after Coutinho's attempt was saved by Osasuna goalkeeper Sergio Herrera to open the scoring on the half-hour mark. Griezmann doubled the lead 3 minutes before halftime when he volleyed a blistering strike from outside the area that left Herrera flat-footed and with no chance of stopping it. Griezmann then passed up another scoring chance and up to assist Coutinho to tap in the host's third goal in the 57th. Messi rounded it off with his strike from long range in the 73rd. It was important to get this win because those at the top of the table keep winning and we couldn't sleep again. Griezmann said, "We did not know what Messi had planned to honor Maradona. It was a nice surprise." Corona- Coronavirus: What is happening in Canada and around the world on Monday? The latest in the world. Alberta, BC set grim new COVID-19 records as new measures take effect. Enforcement continues. Alberta reported 1,733 new cases, breaking a record set just 2 days ago, along with 8 new deaths. There were 453 patients hospitalized with COVID-19, including 96 in ICU beds. Both are also new records. Record high of 46 people died of COVID-19 in BC over the weekend. Alberta sets record for new COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, and number in ICU. Feds to spend up to 100 billion to jolt post-pandemic economy after posting record 381 billion deficit. Manitoba, Saskatchewan hit new provincial records for COVID-19 hospitalizations. Ontario reports 1,746 new COVID-19 cases, 7 the average climbs to a new high. Moldova to ask UK European regulators to okay emergency use of COVID-19 vaccine. Like all Albertans, I'm alarmed by the rising case numbers reported today and over the weekend, Dr. Dina Hinshaw, the province's chief medical officer of health, said at a news conference that this is another reminder that COVID-19 has a long incubation period, means the actions we take place will not be seen until 10 to 14 days from now. On Monday, students in grades 7 to 12 moved to online classes under new COVID-19 measures. They will continue with virtual learning until at least January 11th. Dr. Dina Hinshaw, Alberta's Chief Medical Officer of Health, says she continues to be concerned by rising COVID-19 case numbers in the province. Over the past over the past over the past 3 days, more than 5,000 new cases have been reported in Alberta. Meanwhile, British Columbia reported the highest ever COVID-19 weekend death toll, with 46 deaths confirmed over the last 3 days. The province, which doesn't provide COVID-19 data on weekends, also recorded 2,364 new cases including 277 historical cases that were previously missed because of a data reporting error in the Fraser Health region. Provincial Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry said the majority of those who died, about 80%, were long-term care residents. Since the start of the pandemic, 441 people in BC have died of the virus. These people have faces, have names, have stories. This is tragedy. Is all for our tragedy. This tragedy is all of our tragedy, Henry said. If you are thinking it may be okay to bend the rules, please remember this virus takes lives. It is the lives closest to us that are most at risk when we take risks. Isolated Vancouver Island Indigenous communities struggling in wake of COVID-19 outbreak. Authorities have been cracking down have been on those cracking down on those who flouted COVID-19 restrictions. On Sunday, a church in Langley was hit with 2,300 fine for holding an in-person religious service, which is currently prohibited. And in Vancouver, people say several fines were issued over the weekend after officers were called to break up four separate gatherings, including house parties and limousine ride, all of which violated provincial COVID-19 protocols. Limousine. What happening across Canada? As of 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday, Canada's COVID-19 case count stood at 378,139, within 66,037 of those considered active cases. A CDC news tally of deaths based on provincial reports, regional health information, and the CDC's report team stood at 12,130. On Monday, Federal Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland tabled the Liberal government's long-awaited economic statement, with Ottawa eyeing up to $100 billion in post-pandemic stimulus spending. That comes as Canada's deficit is projected to hit a record high of more than 381 billion for this fiscal year. Freeland and said the government's immediate priority is to do whatever it takes to help Canadians and businesses stay safe and solvent. The risks associated with not providing enough economic support right now outweigh those involved in spreading too much, she said. The stimulus package, valued at 70 billion to 100 billion over roughly 3 years, is intended to build a greener, more inclusive, more innovative and competitive economy, according to the government. It is intended to launch after the COVID-19 vaccine is distributed and life begins to return to normal. In Saskatchewan, more than 100 medical students have signed an open letter to the provincial government calling for more action to control the spread of COVID-19. In the letter, the University of Saskatchewan students thank the government for some of the measures already taken, such as mandatory indoor masking, but said they are not enough. Saskatchewan reported 325 new cases and two COVID-19 deaths on Monday, along with 49 recoveries. There are now 3,879 active cases across the province. Officials also reported 123 hospitalizations, which is a new record in Saskatchewan. Manitoba reported 343 new cases on Monday, along with 11 new COVID-19 deaths, including a man in his 30s and a woman in her 40s. Seven of the deaths are connected to outbreaks at the long-term care homes. The province also hit a new record high for COVID-19 hospitalizations, with 342 people in hospital, 43 of whom are in intensive care. At a press briefing on Monday, Manitoba's Chief Nursing Officer Lenity Saragusa noted that the number of COVID-19 hospitalizations has more than tripled compared with only a month ago, and the healthcare system continues to be under pressure. Two Manitoba churches held drive-in services over the weekend in violation of public health orders keeping gatherings at 5 people and ordering religious services to move online. Member of a church in Stanback, Manitoba, a COVID-19 hotspot, clashed with the RCMP when they tried to enforce public health measures prohibiting all gatherings, including religious services. The pastor said officers were blocking God. In Ontario, public health measures ramped up in 5 regions on Monday, with the strictest changes taking effect in Windsor, Essex, which moved to the second highest red alert level on the province's tiered pandemic response plan. Ontario on Monday reported 1,746 cases of COVID-19, with 622 new cases in Toronto and 390 in Peel region, which are both under lockdown measures. Health Minister Christine Elliott said in a tweet that more than 39,400 tests has been completed. The province reported 8 additional deaths, bringing Ontario's death toll in 3,656. Hospitalization is 618, with 168 in intensive care. Meanwhile, a window company in York Region, which is currently in a red alert zone, has declared a COVID-19 outbreak after 62 cases were confirmed there. Health officials say that this is the second outbreak at a state Windows Corporation's facility, following an initial outbreak in May that ended up infecting 17 people. Quebec reported 1,333 new cases of COVID-19 and 23 additional deaths on Monday, bringing the number of deaths in the province to 7,056. Hospitalizations stood at 693 in Quebec, with 94 in intensive care, according to a provincial tally. The update comes a day after the Montreal long-term care home transferred 20 residents to local hospitals after COVID-19 took hold at the home in the last week, concerning officials and terrifying families. Quebec long-term care homes were hit hard during the first wave of the pandemic last spring. Many facilities were understaffed, and in some cases, personnel moved between centers, allowing the virus to spread more easily. Health officials in New Brunswick reported 6 new cases on Monday, a day after the province announced 14 new cases. Newfoundland and Labrador reported 1 new case on Monday, bringing the total number of cases in the province to 338. Prince Edward Island, which has just 4 active cases total, had no new cases to report on Monday. Nova Scotia reported 16 new cases on Monday. The province started using pop-up clinics to test for COVID-19 last week. While the overall numbers are far lower than what health officials are seeing in Central and Western Canada, the recent uptick in COVID-19 cases in several Atlantic provinces sparked enough concern that both Newfoundland and Labrador and PEI decided to temporarily withdraw from the bubble that allowed free movement between the provinces. Newfoundland Premier Andrew Furey told CBC's Rosemary Bolton that his province's decision to temporarily lift the Atlantic travel bubble was a tough decision, but it was one that we based on evidence, not long after the changes announced by Newfoundland and PEI, Newfoundland added some border restrictions of its own, saying that people traveling into the province, including people who live in other Atlantic provinces, would be required to self-isolate for 14 days unless exempt. Registration for travel into New Brunswick, including New Brunswickers returning home from travel, is also mandatory, the province said in a statement last week. Nunavut reported 4 new cases of COVID-19 on Monday, bringing the number of active cases in the territory to 108. The Northwest Territories reported no new cases on Monday. Yukon reported 1 new COVID-19 case on Monday. After reporting 1 new case on Sunday, the territory has now reported 47 cases since the pandemic began. We all need to consider whom lives we might be gambling with during holiday celebrations because of the coronavirus, said the World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus from Associated Press and Reuters, last updated at 6:15 p.m. Eastern Time. As of Monday evening, more than 63.1 million cases of COVID-19 has been reported worldwide, with more than 40.3 million of those considered recoveries or resolved. According to Johns Hopkins University, the global death toll stood at more than 1.4 million. Moderna company said it would ask US and European regulators Monday to allow emergency use of its COVID-19 vaccine, as new study results confirm the shots offer strong protection, ramping up the race to begin limiting vaccinations as the coronavirus pandemic worsens. Multiple vaccine candidates must succeed for the world to stamp out the pandemic, which has been on upswing in the US and Europe. US hospitals have been stretched to the limit as the nation has seen more than 160,000 new cases per day and more than 1,400 daily deaths. Moderna is just behind Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech in seeking to begin vaccinations in the US in December. Across the Atlantic, British regulators also are assessing the Pfizer shot and another from AstraZeneca. An Asia-Pacific region veteran of Vietnam confirmed on Monday its first locally transmitted case of the coronavirus in nearly 3 months after the infection of a man related to a flight attendant who has tested positive after returning from Japan 2 weeks ago. The country's health minister ordered provinces and state agencies to tighten screening and controls and the contact tracing efforts were launched after the 32-year-old man was confirmed as the first reported domestic infection in 89 days. With its strict quarantine and tracking measures, Vietnam has managed to quickly contain its coronavirus outbreaks, allowing it to resume its economic activities earlier than much of Asia. Veteran crushed its first wave of coronavirus infections in April and went nearly 100 days without local transmission until the virus re-emerged and was quickly contained in the central city of Da Nang in July. Indonesia reported a record daily rise in coronavirus infection on Sunday with 6,267 cases, bringing the total to 534,266. Data from the country's COVID-19 task force showed a medical worker stands inside a swamp chamber as he prepares to collect swamp samples to be tested for COVID-19 in Jakarta, Indonesia last week. Cambodia's education ministry has ordered all state schools to close until the start of the next school year in January of the rare local outbreak of the coronavirus. Education Minister Han Chung Nara issued a statement later Sunday saying that all schools will be shut to prevent students from being infected. Public schools will remain closed until January 11th, the start of the next school year, but private schools must close for 2 weeks. He said students in private schools will be permitted to study online. Cambodia has reported only 323 cases of the virus since the pandemic began, most of them acquired abroad, with no confirmed deaths. In America's U.S. health authorities will hold an emergency meeting this week to recommend that the coronavirus vaccine awaiting approval to be given first to healthcare professionals and people in long-term care facilities. Counties across California, meanwhile, are imposing stricter COVID-19 restrictions on Monday as case surge statewide and Thanksgiving travelers return home. Health officials are preparing for wave cases in the next 2 or 3 weeks that could be tied to holiday gatherings. Los Angeles County, for example, will impose a lockdown calling for its 10 million residents to stay home beginning Monday. At the start of the school year, Cornell University implemented strategy of the regular testing and robust contact tracing on campus. The plan was expensive, but it's prevented any major COVID-19 outbreaks at the new institution. The state reported 7,415 coronavirus hospitalizations on Sunday, citing the most recently available data from the previous day. More than 1,700 of those patients were in intensive care units. California's previous record was 7,170 in July. As of Sunday, California has had nearly 1.2 million confirmed coronavirus cases and more than 19,000 deaths since the pandemic began. The state reported around 15,600 new cases on Sunday. Mexico reported 6,388 new confirmed coronavirus infections and 1,196 additional deaths on Sunday, Health Minister data shows. In Africa, massive vaccination against COVID-19 are likely to start in Africa until midway through next year, and keeping vaccines cold could be a big challenge, the continent's disease control group said. Kenya's central bank has cut its forecast for 2020 economic growth by more than half, showing the tragedy in realizing that the coronavirus has inflicted more damage to the economy than previously thought. In Europe, Prime Minister Andrej Plenković of Croatia has tested positive for the coronavirus following his wife's positive test over the weekend. A government spokesman said Plenković is feeling fine and will continue to perform his duties from his home. The government on Monday tightened travel restrictions, requiring a negative test for most people seeking to enter the country. Croatia, which has faced weeks of soaring COVID-19 infections, on Monday reported a record single-day death toll of 74 fatalities and 1,830 new infections. Belgium will let shops reopen from Tuesday but keep other curbs over the festive period, while Italy will ease anti-COVID-19 restrictions in 5 regions from Sunday. Ireland will allow shops, restaurants, chains, and pubs serving food to reopen next week and permit travel between counties from December 18th. A pharmacy worker wearing protective gear stands outside a tent set up for rapid COVID-19 tests in Rome's Trastevere neighborhood last week. Italy reported 541 coronavirus-related deaths on Sunday against 686 the day before and 20,648 new infections, down with 26,323 on Saturday. The health ministry said, while Italy's daily death tolls have been among the highest in Europe over recent days, the rise in hospital administrations and intensive care occupation is slowing, suggesting the latest wave of infections is receding. Meanwhile, Greek officials say the number of new infections is warning in most parts of the country, which has been in lockdown for 3 weeks. The lockdown initially had been set to end Monday but has been extended for another week. Greece on Monday recorded 1,044 new confirmed infections, down from a record high of more than 3,000 earlier in November, and 85 new deaths. The hardest hit country in the Middle East, Iran, had the more than 948,000 reported cases of COVID-19 and more than 47,000 recorded deaths. That is. And thank you very much. And this is all for today. Thank you.